to victory. E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles!
My God, what an era. E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles. I like the Eagles theme, and I like the Lions theme. I'm sure there's a couple other good ones, but the Eagles and the it's a classic, right? I hope that they never get rid of it. It's just a part of an era. It's kind of beautiful and amusing when you look back at it. I love it, every part of it. Welcome to First Kick, Seahawks. I'm posting this even later than normal. My schedule gradually just keeps getting set back, and then eventually it all comes back around, and then it's like, oh, you have a normal schedule. I'm like, yeah, well, clock's right eventually, right? And so, here we are at like 1 a.m. And the reason I am here so late is because I was getting esophageal cramps today. Part of the problem with my fibromyalgia is I sometimes get muscle spasms, and I get them in my esophagus. So I was dealing with that today, and it's kind of hard to speak when your esophagus is spasming. And many times when we look at leadership, it's oftentimes to hear somebody when the esophagus is spasming, when the leader at the top, the words aren't quite coming out, and maybe sometimes the leader needs to stop using their voice and take care of things physically. And we talked a bit about Pete Carroll's leadership earlier in the week, and I would recommend that you take a look at that. And when we look at this Eagles leadership in the trenches specifically, with like Kelsey and Slay on the defense, and then we look at what Sean Desai has done with this defense. We talked about that yesterday. Leadership on the defense is very frustrated right now on the Eagles. So Sean Desai is kind of under a lot of pressure right now from Philadelphia, because Philly's that type of fan base where they're like, we're going to hold you accountable. The fuck? You just came from a bad Seattle defense after coming from the Bears, and now you're making our defense bad? We were just in the Super Bowl because of this defense. What did you do? Why did you make Bradbury and Slay look bad? And so we talked a bit about game planning yesterday as far as schemes go. And this is a Monday game, so both teams get a chance to kind of work on their own techniques a bit more and get themselves right, and then the game planners have an opportunity to maybe make some things happen. But as we talked about yesterday, Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, they do a lot of the QB bash, which is you run a run-pass option, and then you pull the left and, typically a left tackle and a left guard. But oftentimes you can also run the right tackle and the right guard into the face of the crashing end. That's a part of the run-pass option. Just depends on what they're going for. And it's very similar to what the 49ers did against Christian McCaffrey. So our quality control coaches, they have an opportunity today with the players like Jamal Adams and Woolen and company to shore up our gap disciplines and tackling. And if Jamal Adams and all of them are competitors, which it seems like they are, then they'll want to shore those up. And since it's a similar spot on the field that they'll be targeting, and they'll be trying to target them in similar types of ways, although it'll look different, it'll be dressed up differently, I think it's important to remember that people call football a chess game for a specific reason. Before we get into this, I'd really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe to the channel. It'd really help out. We've been getting a lot more subscribers lately, and a lot more returning viewers. So, thank you so much for liking this content. I try to go about it a different way. So I'm hoping that I'm accomplishing that for you all. This is kind of the way that I view football, and I'm hoping I'm explaining it in the right way. So let's go about our business, and I want to explain why when I hear somebody say football is a chess match, this is what I see. I'm going to change my screen really quick. And we are going to pull up a chessboard. Let me just make sure. Yep, it's looking good. Chessboard. I'm covering this corner here, I'm sorry. But you can figure it out. So imagine there's a set of hash marks right here. See this D position and this E position. And then right up here, you got this queen and the king sitting here. The quarterback and the halfback. Likewise, on the other side, you have the safety and the strong safety. You then have the flanker, cornerback, the flankers on this side. You then have the wideout on this side. You have two cornerbacks. You have the linebackers on the inside. You have the two slot players. And then you have the defensive lineman press, right? This is press. You see, so this is what I see when I look at football. Now, obviously, this is more than 11 players. It's not the same. But what I'm comparing it to is the balance of the field. And so when people say football is a chess game, they're not saying necessarily, hey, when I move over here, you then, because that's often what chess is, the first like 15 or 30 moves, if you're a master, it's so fast because everyone's just like, I'm going to go here. Okay, well, I'm going to go here. Okay, well, I'm going to take that. Sweet. Well, I'm going to move over here now, and that guy's out of the way, which means I'm going to... And then it's like they have all these different things already pre-programmed because chess has been played so long for so many times, and it's been studied forever, that everyone knows when you do A, B happens. When I do that, this will happen. So then there's only so many outcomes. It's like tic-tac-toe, but hardcore. And then it reaches a point where it's each other. But one of the most important parts about chess is maintaining this big lane, and specifically the square in the middle. And if you remember, we have the hash marks in football, and you want to keep the quarterback in the pocket. However, the Chiefs in the AFL, the ones that went up against Bart Starr in the first Super Bowl, they were known for something in particular, which is that they would move their quarterback outside. Not necessarily a boot, because there are boots on a thing where you do a play action, then you come out around the corner, and then you have like this whole side of the field to work with. And therefore, you're only playing with half a field. No. What they would do is that they would specifically shift the quarterback into this position or into this position so that he could have an advantage over whatever was happening over here. Because the defense would try to attack him this way or try to attack him this way. So they would put him in a position so that he could make an assault. And it was different. And when you look at chess, one of the plays that the king can do is he can move with a rook. The rook can cross over because the rook can go as many directions as they want, right? They're fast, like a wide receiver. The king can't move a lot of positions. Can only move one space at a time unless a rook comes and takes it, and then they switch. And you can move it into the place where the knight is, the horse. And so, which the horse is just running ins and the horse is running outs. That's all they're doing, is running ins and running outs. and then the bishop is running slants. You vibing with me? So when you look at what the Eagles are doing, they're establishing their offensive line, and they're making sure to get their quarterback and who's playing like a queen, playing like a halfback. They're attacking this way, which is shifting all the defenders over here and applying a lot of pressure. And then they have A.J. Brown, who can play all three of these positions. He can run the straight up fade like DK Metcalf, or horizontal really fast. He can run an out and an in route, and he can run slants. He's a do-it-all. He just can't run halfbacks. And the reason why he's so dangerous is because since the running game is so focused on getting Jalen Hurts out here and out here, it creates all this space up in the middle, which is just opening up everything that A.J. Brown wants to do. And quite specifically, he's getting all of his targets in the hash marks. And what's happening, and I can close this now, is where's A.J. Brown? This is, did they all close? It happened to me again. I had to wait so long to get ready. This is courtesy of Next Gen Stats. We're going to pull up A.J. Brown's charts. I highly recommend that you go on to Next Gen Stats to look at these types of things. I'm not going to tape because what I'm looking for is tendencies. When you look at A.J. Brown, he's specifically receiving the ball by these hash marks. And if you look, he's catching up around here where he's blocking, right? He's a big dude, so he's blocking. These are incomplete routes. Incomplete routes? Like incomplete passes? That must be it. But he's when he's running from the flanker side, the goal is to get near this hash mark. And specifically, what's happening here is they're spreading the linebackers apart, because the goal of this running attack is to get the linebackers crashing down and focusing on the outside gaps, the B and the C gap. And by doing that, it's creating this pocket in these hash marks. And by doing that, it's creating explosive plays. And these are the killer plays right here. So there's all this little nonsense over here. Wide receivers are going to get those. But these big killer explosive plays, it's set up because the running game is trying to get A.J. Brown into the hash marks. And he's running from the bishop position. Verticals. These slants. These slants. So he's coming up on the slot. He's not necessarily running straight along the outside. Let's go back a page. And this was against, that was week 13. I think that was against the 49ers. And then this one was against Dallas. It's the same thing. Where, yeah, he's got a couple little things over there where they were trying to get the ball to him. But his big plays are these right here where they're trying to get him to the hash marks. They're trying to get him either before a linebacker or in between a linebacker. It's a good little setup that they got going there. And it takes advantage of his skills. It gets him into motion. It's something I've wanted us to do with DK Metcalf, where we can just start making these little spots for us to target him in. Let's see, where's one of his better games? The 175 game. Here we go. This is different. You'll see he's still maintaining this pattern. But up here, he's just got this broke free play at the end. So he still is a deep threat, deep touchdown on this right side. You got to respect him. He's a do-it-all receiver. So you can play all this, but he can still go right off the top. So if Trey is out, and if Witherspoon is out, and we're playing Jackson, and is Bryant back, right? If Jamal keeps getting beat deep, A.J. Brown might beat him deep. If we can't tackle in this middle area because Jamal Adams keeps missing tackles, he might just catch a tackle and take it home, or take it up to make a 10-yard catch into a 30 or 35-yard catch. And so it's like I've been begging this team to play fundamental football, because first of all, we have to stop this running attack. And this is before we even get to A.J. Brown. Because the running attack sets up A.J. Brown to do A.J. Brown fucking things. Let's go to his worst game. Okay, we got the 66-yard game. Is it the 66? Let's go to the 66-yard game. 7 receptions, 66 yards. He's got these... Look at this one. He caught the ball and then went backwards. Looks like he tried a deep route and it didn't work. Incomplete pass on the left side. There's a little goal line touchdown on the left side, which is Woolen's side, so we might see some Woolen on him in the end zone. Again, the little night out route. Sorry, the horse, right? And then again, trying to get towards that hash mark, but he's not catching it like a bunch of them. So I think in this game, they just did a good job shutting him down in here. He's not getting a lot of huge explosives off of his catches. Let's see, he only had one play above 15 yards. Yeah, so they kept him out of his explosives. And that's how they eliminated him on 7 receptions. And this one, all over the hash marks, right? He's got 4 right around the hash marks. Looks like a drag route, slant, deep out. No, he's got this. So he's got 1, 2, 3. He's got 3 explosive plays, but they tackle him immediately. And this one, he just goes out of bounds. So it's good defensive back play. And because of that, they hold him to 79 yards on 7 receptions. And so if he had broken any of these, would have been gone, right? So if you see they shut down this corner. So it's just good defensive back play. But you can see they're hitting him exactly where they want to hit him. And this is really important going into this next game, because if we can't tackle and we've been getting destroyed in the middle of the field, we're gonna have a problem, especially since Bobby Wagner's been having trouble covering, and because he's older, he's having trouble horizontally. This is his area of the field, and Jamal Adams is supposed to be helping him, and he's been bad covering. And Witherspoon was great over here, but he's out. So buckle up if we can't stop A.J. Brown because of tackling. I'm not even saying like keep him from catching the ball. I'm just saying, can we please tackle the man? Be there when, like, immediately when he catches the ball. Like, how many times have we seen a Seahawks defender stand there and watch the guy catch the ball, and then he runs up the field, and then they're trying to catch him while he's moving up the field, like hit him while he's catching the ball, take him down immediately, and while doing that, maybe the ball will jostle out. Who knows? But mostly take him down immediately. And so he did like some running here, but I want to see, like, instead of this green, I want to see him stopped right there. Nothing. Catches the ball, possession, immediately down. That's what I want to see. And he's having a great season. He's had 90 receptions on the year, 1,258 yards, 14 yards per reception, 7 touchdowns. How did he do against Dallas officially? Interesting. His catch rate isn't the highest. It's at 69.2%. So he kind of diced him up too, but it's interesting. No touchdowns. He hasn't had touchdowns in back-to-back weeks. Actually, he's had 1 touchdown in the last 4 weeks. This could be a get-right game for A.J. Brown. Okay. The next weapon I want to go over just really briefly that they have is DeAndre Swift. He's their running back. Credits, by the way, to Pro Football Reference. I love these guys. It's just raw. It's as raw as it gets. 822 yards, 4.6 yards an attempt, and 4 touchdowns. This is his best season. Before that, the most touches, like last year, he had 99 touches and 542 yards in Detroit. He's been in Detroit for 3 years, but he's never exceeded 617 yards. His best season touchdown-wise was in 2020, and he's 24, so he's a young kid, but he's not getting the touchdowns this year. It's probably because Jalen Hurts is getting all of those touchdowns. And so I'm going to close his page just so I can show you. I just wanted to set up Jalen Hurts there. Jalen Hurts, he's got 66.5% completion rating, 3,192 yards, 7.4 yards per attempt. So he's an average passer as far as how deep he's passing. 19 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. For comparison, Geno Smith is at 64.4%, 2,918, 7.3 yards per attempt, also average, right? 15 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. But also he's played in a lesser game because he's been hurt. So keep that in mind. But what is the big difference between those two quarterbacks other than obviously the 4 more touchdowns and the 1 more interception? Well, it's his rushing. He's a mobile quarterback for a reason, and this year he has 12 touchdowns on the ground, which means he's probably going to beat his career record, which is 13 that he had last year. However, he's probably not going to beat his total yardage record because currently he has 460 yards on 126 attempts. Last year he had 760 yards on 165 attempts. So he's not getting nearly as many yards. In fact, it's his lowest career yards per attempt at 3.7, but that's probably because they're doing the brotherly shove so much. So how many of these attempts are them just trying to get 1 yard? It's interesting. But yeah, he's racking up touchdowns. And so when you add this 12 touchdowns with his 19 passing touchdowns, what is that, 31? Yeah. He's having a really good season. And he could reach 40 touchdowns on the season the way that he's going. There's plenty of time left. So I want to pull up his passing charts for you. And remember, they like to spread their receivers out and then hit these hash marks. If you look, a lot of these touchdowns coming on these outsides. And yeah, he's completing the ball on the outside, and he's getting the hash marks so they can get the big gains. But you got those outside touchdowns, deep outside touchdowns, right? Deep passes. That one's kind of, a normal touchdown, normal on the flat. Looks like he also threw an interception in that same area. Let's see. This one is the same thing. It's deep on the left side. He just corks it. He just corks the ball. And again, deep on the outsides. It's awesome. He just fucking chucks it, man. And what was this? This was week 2. One there. Little pick in the middle. He has not thrown a lot of... Well, he's thrown 10 picks this year. We'll get to that. Let's see. Week 1's not loading, so we're not going to talk about that. But he's got the one interception in there, which is about 20 yards in on the hash mark. You can't see it because my thing's in the way. It's right there. In week 3, he had 2 interceptions. One was in the upper right-hand corner, and one was 5 yards in the left out. Then he throws a interception in week 5, right side on the 20-yard mark. Actually, it looks like they did a good job limiting his explosives. He only had 4 explosives all game. If you count 15-yarders. Had the 1 touchdown passing under there. So he's got a lot of little stuff underneath. Again, he's got those passes near the hash marks. Ended up putting up a fair amount of yardage. Just that I think that interception probably really hurt them in that game. But I'm not seeing a lot of patterns in the types of interceptions he's throwing, except they seem to be showing up right in this left corner. So this is right on the line of scrimmage. Right side line of scrimmage. And when you look at this week 12, about right side on the line of scrimmage, 5-yard line, 6-yard line. And when you look at this week 6, you got one on the right side near the line of scrimmage. You got one right side by the 10-yard line. And you got one on the left side. But I think maybe his hot spot for interceptions is right in here. Like on the outside in this little box here. Because Brock Purdy, his hot spot was right here on that hash mark. And then his other hot spot was up in there. And what we're seeing is that Hurts is kind of all over randomly, but the main ones that I'm seeing are in this little box. Which that's where our corners are currently dusted. So we'll see. But also because there's so many random interceptions, it could give us an opportunity to make something happen. Let's see. Was there anything else I wanted to cover before we move on? I also, those deep routes that A.J. Brown was talking about, I forgot to mention this. I looked at some tape of him. he's running not just by the hash marks, but that's how he's getting the yak. But the way he's completing his deep routes, he's running stick nod and he's running sluggo. So he's like running up, turning, getting ready to catch, faking it, and then going up again. So stick nod, where he's like running like a stick route, pretending, and then nodding back up the field. And then he's running a sluggo, where he's pretending to running a deep out or a deep in, and then quickly cutting back up down the field. And so they're deep timing routes, about the 7th step. And that those are all teed off of the running game because they're based off of hesitation. And the reason I wanted to mention these routes in particular is based off of the run pass option that the running attack and the quarterback attack is based off of. That extra hesitation works well with sluggo and with the stick nod. And on top of that, as I've mentioned before, the whole point of play action is to create a 1-step advantage for the quarterback so that when he is on step 3, the other defenders are still on step 2 and he has a chance to read and throw the ball. And so when the linebackers are in their positions, that means that the receiver is also 1 step ahead of where the linebackers are supposed to be. So if Bobby is having speed problems, hopefully he has the intuition still. I believe he does, but it's still a speed problem to get in position to where A.J. Brown's going to want to be on the hash marks. But also we're going to need Woolen to know to pause, read this fucking bash that's going to be coming at him, and then follow the sluggo and the nod up this route. And it's going to be a big test for Woolen tomorrow to see how he handles A.J. Brown on those deep routes. And as we saw, they're throwing those touchdowns deep on the left side. They're loving that left side. So Woolen's going to be tested. And he's not having, he's having a sophomore slump, not necessarily because he's having a bad year, but because people have found out certain techniques to attack him with, and there's certain things that he needs to identify to work on, and the way you do that is sometimes you got to get beat. And so here he is, and he's going to be going against a scheme specifically designed to put him out of position. And by doing the sluggo and doing the stick nod, it also puts you in a step behind unless you play it perfectly. So unless he can cover those routes perfectly, not only is the run pass option going to put him on step 2 when the quarterback is on step 3, but because the receiver, Brown, is going to be running the sluggo mid-choice when the quarterback is on step 5, meaning Woolen's anticipating a pass on step 5 for the stick or the inside-outside route for the part of the sluggo, and then it starts to go uphill to get ready for step 7. He's pausing there when the player is already proceeding to step 6, which means he's on step 4 when the receiver's on step 5 and the quarterback's on step 5. And he's then pausing, which means that the quarterback is now on step 6 and the wide receiver's on step 6. And then he's having to move up, and he's still going to be on step 5. So it's always going to put him in a position where he has to hesitate and read something, hesitate and read something, hesitate and read something. And it's not just I have to follow through with this route. It's going to frustrate the hell out of him. It's going to frustrate the hell out of our other DBs. And it's going to be a fun game. If you like watching receivers running routes, watch Brown all day. He's a great route runner, and the way he's going to be teeing off of our guys is going to be fascinating. And hopefully we can tackle so that we can see him have to run good routes, because if he's running just basic routes and getting yak, it's going to be a boring ass game. Let's see. I think that is all I have for today. I know I started it so late. I have a Eagles guest coming on today, actually, later in the day, in about 12 hours. I checked my invisible watch. And yeah, she's, I believe, in Philadelphia, and big Philly fan, and I'm excited to meet her, and we'll see just how much of a Philly fan she is. But you know how Philly fans get. Might blow out my eardrums. I'm excited. We're going to talk some ball, and yeah, be excited for that. I'm going to talk to her probably around 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're not going to stream it live. I don't like to do those live, just in case whoever I interview has the option to pull out and not want to do it. So, yeah. But it sounds like that's happening. So expect that video to be dropped tomorrow, and then I'll probably also do a little turnover Thursday as well. But otherwise, you all be well. It was good to actually commit and get this video out, because I've not been feeling good. This time of the year is always really hard on my body, but you know, sometimes you just got to establish some good behaviors and good tendencies, and just keep doing what you enjoy doing. So thank you so much for watching First Kick Seahawks. I would really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe to the channel. It would help out. And thank you to everyone who has. You've helped out a lot. And I love you guys so much. See you around.